This is lesson 3.5. That's write and graph equations of lines. Our big question is, how do you write an equation of a line? Now, one thing to remember, this should be a review for you. You do all of this in Algebra 1, so this should definitely look familiar to you. So first of all, some vocab, slope-intercept form. So the general form of a linear equation in slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Standard form, this is the general form of a linear equation in standard form, is ax squared plus bx equals c. A key thing here is where a and b are not both 0. If you think about it, if a and b were both 0, our variables would both go away and we wouldn't have any variables left to make our equation. So our first example, write an equation of a line from a graph. So we're going to write an equation of the line in this graph in slope-intercept form. First thing that we need to do is find the slope. So this is going to be the step 1 for all of our writing equation problems. We're going to follow 3 easy steps to write equations. And the first step is always to find the slope. So we've got 2 points on our graph. We're going to use those 2 points and we're going to plug them into our slope formula. So I'm going to draw my fraction bar and my minus signs like I always do. I'm going to plug in my points. 0, 3 is the first one, so I'll plug 0 in the bottom and 3 above it. My other is 2, negative 1, so I'll plug 2 in the bottom and negative 1 above it. Now I'm just going to reduce. Minus a negative becomes plus a positive. 3 plus 1 is 4. Over 0 minus 2 is negative 2. 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. So that's my slope. My step 2. This step is always going to be to find the y-intercept. This one is pretty easy because we've got a graph and we can see that this line intersects the y-axis at this point right here, 0, 3. So it intersects at 0, 3. So the y-intercept is just 3 because we use the y-coordinate of that point. The third step is always going to be to write our equation. So we're going to use slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, and we're going to plug in our m from step 1 and our b from step 2. So I've got y equals m from step 1 is negative 2. I keep my x. I keep my plus sign. My b from step 3 is 3. So I substitute a negative 2 in for m and 3 in for b to get my final answer of y equals negative 2x plus 3. So make sure you follow those 3 steps. You find the slope, you find the y-intercept, and then you write your equation. So pause the video and try this one on your own. Welcome back. You should have, for step 1, finding the slope, found that the slope here is 3. For step 2, finding your y-intercept, just looking at the graph, your y-intercept is negative 5. And then step 3, to write your equation, for new y equals something times x plus something. Your slope goes here and your y-intercept goes here. My slope is 3, my y-intercept is negative 5. So it's y equals 3x minus 5 as my final answer. Did you follow the 3 steps to get this correct answer? My second example here, write an equation of a parallel line. As soon as you hear parallel, you should think they've got the same slopes. So write an equation of a line passing through the point 1, negative 1. So I've got an x and a y here. That is parallel to, so you should think has the same slope as, the line with the equation y equals 2x minus 1. So the only thing we're really going to care about this line is it's got a slope of 2. So again, we're going to follow our 3 steps to write an equation. Step 1 is to find the slope. So the slope of a line parallel to y equals 2x minus 1 is the same as this slope, so the slope is going to be 2. So my first step, I found that m equals 2. My second step, I'm going to find the y-intercept. This is where it's a little bit different. So we're actually going to use the equation. We're going to use the fact that my slope of my line is 2, and then I've got an ordered pair, an x and a y, and that's 1, negative 1. So we're going to use slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. And for y, we're going to plug in our y coordinate of our point, -1, equals, for m, we're going to plug our slope, times x, we're going to use our x coordinate, and then we keep the plus b there. Our b is going to be our only variable in this problem, so we know we can solve for it. So if I solve for this, 2 times 1 is 2 plus b equals -1. If I subtract 2 from both sides to get b alone, this cancels, and I have b equals -1 minus 2 is -3. So now I've solved for b to find my y-intercept. So finally, step 3, and I should have wrote step 3 right here, because my slope, my m is 2, and my b, my y-intercept is -3, we're going to write an equation, and it's 2x plus a -3. In simplified form, though, it's y equals 2x minus 3. So again, we followed our same 3 steps. Find the slope, find the y-intercept. We just found the y-intercept a little different way now. And then the third step is to write the equation. So here is extra example 2. I want you to take the time to follow your 3 steps to doing this problem. First of all, find your slope. Second of all, find your y-intercept. And then the third thing, which you might need a little extra space, so I'm going to write it over here, is write your equation. So pause the video and try this one on your own. Okay, welcome back. So you should have found the first step is the slope. It's going to be the same because we're told that these 2 lines are parallel. So my slope here is -2. To find b, I'm going to use y equals mx plus b. I've got my slope, and here's an x and a y right in the problem. So my y is 5. My m comes right here, it's -2, times my x comes from the problem right here, that's also -2, plus b. So b is my only unknown. So I have 5 equals -2 times -2 is +4 plus b. Subtract 4 from both sides. So b equals 5 minus 4 is 1. So I found my slope here. I found my y-intercept here. Y equals mx plus b is my equation. And I want to plug in my slope and my y-intercept. So I'm going to say y equals -2x plus 1. And that is my third step, my equation. Example 3. Now we're going to write an equation of a perpendicular line. Okay? So write an equation of the line J passing through the point 3, 2 that is perpendicular to the line K with the equation y equals -3x plus 1. As soon as you see perpendicular, you should think their slopes are going to be opposite reciprocals, and they're also going to multiply to give me -1. That's something we talked about yesterday. So again, step 1 is still find the slope of our line. So the slope of the line they give us is -3. They're not parallel though, so they don't have the same slope. So we've got to think the slope of the line times the slope of our new line has to equal -1. So if I solve this for m, I would divide both sides by -3. So m equals negative over negative is positive, and my slope is 1/3. So I divided both sides by -3 here. The product of the slopes of perpendicular lines is -1. And some of you will be able to recognize this right away looking at this new slope and our perpendicular slope. And looking at those 2 things, they do have opposite signs and they are reciprocals, so we know we did it correctly. Our second step now that we found our slope is to find the y-intercept. We're going to use our slope of 1/3, so we're using our new slope, our perpendicular slope, and our ordered pair is 3, 2. So y equals mx plus b is our slope-intercept form. Instead of y, we're going to plug our 2 in there because that's our y coordinate. Instead of m, we're going to plug 1/3 in here, times, instead of x, we're going to plug 3 in here, and we're going to keep the plus b because that's what we're solving for. Okay, so I left a little space here to solve this. Here's my middle. 1/3 times 3 is just 1 plus b equals 2. I'll subtract 1 from both sides, and b equals 2 minus 1 is just 1. So because m, my slope, is 1/3, and b is 1, this is our step 3 here again, because we're writing our equation. Then the equation of the line J is y equals 1/3 x plus 1. So pause the video and try this one on your own. Try and follow our 3 steps to solve this one. Okay, welcome back. Following our 3 steps to solve this one, first we want to find b. I'm sorry, not find b, find m, find our slope. And this says we've got a point, -8, -2, so we've got an x and a y. Our new line is perpendicular to this line right here. So perpendicular means our 2 slopes are going to multiply to give us -1. They're going to be opposite reciprocals. So the slope of this line right here is 4, so I know 4 times my new slope has to equal -1. So if I'm solving for m, I would divide both sides by 4. So my slope is -1/4. Now let's compare -1/4 and +4. They have opposite signs and they are reciprocals, so that is the correct slope. My second step I want to do is to find b. That's my y-intercept. And again, I'm going to use y equals mx plus b. I'm going to plug in my y, my m, my x. I'm going to keep the plus b here. I'm going to keep that equal sign there. So the y for my ordered pair is right here. That's -2. My slope comes from right here. That's -1/4. Times my x comes from my ordered pair up here. That's -8. So now I just simplify this and solve it for b. So -2 equals -1/4 times a -8. Well, negative times a negative is a positive. You could either put this in your calculator, or you could think, okay, this 8 goes over 1. We've got an 8 and 4. 8's on the top, 4's on the bottom, so I could divide both of those by 4. So 4 divided by 4 isn't 4, it's 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So I've reduced that right there. So really I've got -1 times -2, which is +2, plus b. Again, if you didn't follow that, use your calculator to multiply -1/4 times -8. So subtract 2 from both sides, and I have b equals -2 minus 2 is -4. So I did step 1, I found my slope. I did step 2, I found my y-intercept. Step 3 is to write our equation. So I'm going to say y equals something times x plus something. Here's my slope, here's my y-intercept. So y equals, my slope is -1/4, x plus my y-intercept is -4. So just simplified, I'd write y equals -1/4 x minus 4. And there's my answer. So we're going to stop here for today. We're going to stop our notes. You will have another video on this lesson, but you're going to watch that tomorrow night. So you can stop here and have a great night.